Our sixth point is not specific maybe to a lot of people going into a season here, but it's more around planning. And if you're coaching, particularly with younger players, you can develop speed from the earliest of ages, so long as you do it appropriately. If you look at some of the things that maybe elite level sprinters might do, or some of the drills they do, or even just adults in general are doing, they may not necessarily be that appropriate or carry over to what, like, I'm going to say children here first, so talk like 4, 5, 6, up to 10-year-olds. It may not actually be that relevant for them, but they can still most definitely develop speed from the earliest of ages. I remember seeing a stat about the last either 8 world record holders in the 100 metres or the last 8 gold medal winners in the 100 metres. And they're all either the 3rd oldest sibling in a family of 4 or the 4th oldest sibling in a family of 5. And how does that make a difference? Look back through their childhood, there's probably an awful lot of chasing people who are older than them. So they've either 2 or 3 siblings older than them that they're trying to chase down. There's probably a little bit of learning technique. If you're constantly looking at people who are faster than you and are getting away from you, without realising it yourself, you're probably noticing how they're running, how they're moving, and you're trying to mimic that a little bit yourself, so you're developing technique from it. But you're also running with intent, trying to get after and catch your older siblings who are faster than you. But you also have that added little confidence boost of you have a younger brother or sister who's trying to catch you, they can't, and you're getting away from those. And that this probably happened from a really early age, which shows that developing speed from a young age can be done and is important. Like, we all run races when we're 4 or 5 or 6 years old, whether that be junior infant sports day and you're trying to beat the others beside you or behind you. You're playing games of tag, so you're chasing other people down. You're trying to beat someone, you're trying to catch them, or you're trying to get away from them. And in terms of developing speed, if that's probably the lowest hanging fruit we can have with adults, it's the exact same with children. The speed work doesn't have to be the fancy drills, pulling out hurdles, run through ladders. I don't know how you'd run through ladders anyway. I think it's the most pointless thing ever if you want to develop speed, but that's for another time. Doing sleds, running with a dowel over your head, it doesn't need to be any of those things. It's just running fast with a little bit of purpose and doing it in a child-friendly way, which is generally just, let's go out and run a race, let's play a game of tag, let's start someone 4 metres ahead of the other and say, let's see who can get the blue cone down there the quickest. Some of the hopping and jumping games that you can play, even like a hopscotch or any other variation we can put in with hopping and jumping in it, again, some little bit of reactivity or elasticity. That's not what we're saying to the children we're trying to develop. We're just saying, let's have fun through this hopping game, whatever it might be. They're really good for developing a foundation for speed that's both beneficial, like somewhat there and then, but also an awful lot when they reach adolescence and go through their growth spurt. Adaptations that come pre-growth spurt or like in childhood, they're neurally driven, so that'll be kind of through the tendons, through neurons, everything that way. So by doing a lot of jumping and hopping, they'll get far stronger from jumping, hopping, bouncing, skipping, jumping than they will from any of the traditional strength exercises we associate with later teenagers or adults. That's how strength happens in children. But also, it'll also develop a lot of like capacity in tendons. We can get a little bit more nuance now. When they go through their growth spurt and become teenagers, those tendons then will have a greater capacity for work. Once you get to the teenage years, doing a lot of the more reactive stuff can be, as you're going through or just at the tail end of a growth spurt, there can be a few more complications there around like tendons, joints, and connective tissue that we need to be quite mindful of in terms of how much we do and how much we load it. Whereas doing a lot as children will give greater room to work with when they're teenagers and have gone through all that. There's also no major need to specifically work on technique with children. I know we'll often say, children, we're not showing them how to run well enough and it's not done in schools and should clubs be doing it and should they all do athletics. I think a big issue here is they actually don't get opportunity to just go out and run hard enough, that if we never develop technique, I think an awful lot would still learn how to run quite well, provided they're given opportunities to just run themselves, to chase stuff, to race against others, to chase others down. There can be small bits of feedback we give. You'll know, like some don't move opposite arm to opposite leg. A little bit of feedback can be helpful there, or other little things that way, just around knee lift or toe up. Once you go through the adolescent growth spurt, you kind of have to relearn a lot of that anyway, because they lose a lot of their coordination around it. But just giving opportunities to sprint and to run hard will do an awful lot of development around technique, as opposed to going in and doing an awful lot of specific teaching or coaching around it. Our last two